Psychos and sickos unite for edition of PHNX Suns post-game show. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the app, use the Bet365 app, code PHNX365. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and get $200 in bonus bets. It is a painful day in Arizona sports, but we're here to get you through it. I'm Eric. That's Espo. We got the freckled mamba behind the Mac making all the magic happen. Steven will be calling in from the morgue where the Suns died in the fourth quarter, allowing 47 points to the Atlanta Hawks after going up 21 to start the quarter. In a 124-122 loss, snapping their win streak and causing a lot of pain. We're going to get into all of it here, but hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for spending your Sunday night with us. Again, true psychos and sickos. Espo.
Why? Like, why? I don't get the that people sucked. Are acting like the house sucked. Is on fire. You're Espo, here like somebody just kicked your dog in the head.
Big picture.
They shot 17% in the first half.
They had a 47-point fourth quarter. They were up 20. Yeah. The bench gave them a 20-point lead, and then the starters checked in and blew it.
Yeah, it was a bad game. You're missing two of your starters. Like this wasn't a great game, but I don't know. We got people trying to trade people in the chat saying Devin Booker sucks. Far. Like you're here crying. Like I just look, that fourth quarter sucked. But there are a lot of things in that game that you go, all right, I love the fight of this team. I love the way that they hustle. Devin Booker had a few mistakes down the stretch that cost them. Dillon Brooks had a dumb technical. But this is a game where you're missing your second best offensive player, and you still put up 122. It was a game of runs on both sides. You withstood only shooting 17% from three in the first half. Like this... For all that was bad about this game, you still wound up looking a lot better than a lot of people expected you to be as a team overall. Tough loss, but these are the kind of losses that you learn something from and you can use later on. Like
sure. The season's not over. They're 8-6. They're 2 games over 500 for sure. Here's the thing is, if they had just laid down and died, obviously that would have been worse. But they make this huge comeback. It's a 37-point third quarter. It's 37-20 Phoenix in that third. Somehow they survived that first half, which was just brutal. It was, this team is awesome. This team shows heart and fight and hustle. And they do, and that's awesome. And that is great. And we were all riding high during that. In any game, in any situation, to allow a 47-point fourth quarter, and not just the Hawks got hot, but it was a lot of mistakes that you made internally, while you can learn from that, and I believe they will learn from that, when I'm sitting here 5 minutes after the game ended, that still sucks. Tomorrow, we move on and we flush it, but that they should not have lost this game. That's why it's brutal. They should not have
gotten back in this game with how poorly they played in that first half. The Hawks probably should have kicked your ass, is the reality of it. And then the Hawks got extremely hot. A team that had been shooting otherworldly has now won 5 in a row. And they came out and they out-Suns you in the fourth quarter. They got hot shooting. They played tough-nosed defense, and you couldn't hit a couple key shots down the stretch. That's what it comes down to. I get it, but man, like the all hell is all is lost. It's not. Like the high vibes we had the other night were great. This is a lower feel because you lost, but they're 8-6. This team wasn't even supposed to be where they're at now. And again, you learn from this. There were little things that they could have done better. The Dillon Brooks experience was in full full swing tonight. I mean, you get 34 points out of him, but you get a stupid play that costs you a technical, which I'm still not sure
and a foul on a closeout three.
You know, you've got Devin Booker that makes he's trying to go for the knockout blow to put you up 9 on a fast break rather than throwing it down low to Mark Williams to go up 8. Dumb play. You look at the film, you get better from that. Like this is a game where you probably should have gotten your ass kicked. So
sure, and I mean, look, I think both sides are true. There is a big picture side of this. There is a learning side of this. This team is coming off of winning 8 out of their last 9 games and winning 5 straight, and all that's great, right? To me, the reason why they lost was very controllable for their end, which is good and bad. It's good long-term because you say these are mistakes that we can correct and we can fix. Right now, that makes it sting. It was not just Atlanta got hot. It was the Suns in multiple different instances felt like they handed Atlanta the game. Look, the starters checked in and immediately the ball movement went out the door. Ton of ISO ball, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it worked. Devin Booker scored in some ISO buckets. Dillon Brooks scored with some ISO buckets. But guess what? Colin Gillespie went up against one of the best defensive players in the NBA without passing the ball. That shot missed, right? Devin Booker, like you mentioned, didn't pass a ball on a fast break to a streaking Mark Williams. Pulled up from 3, which he can't hit a 3 to save his life right now. I know he wanted to put the kill shot in. That wasn't the smart basketball play. Dillon Brooks, offensive foul on hooking, on a post up, right? Yeah. That's bad. The technical from Brooks. The 3-point closeout, that was a foul from Brooks. When you look at all that and break it down, the Suns got back in the game by playing a certain type of basketball, and then the starters checked in and that type of basketball went out the window. So it's right to say that this is not the end of the world and you shouldn't say trade Devin Booker, trade the young guys, Jordan Knott sucks, because that's way too far of a swing. But when your team goes out there, has a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, is on a 5-game winning streak, and in my mind, still hands an Atlanta Hawks team who made it close, but then it was an 8-point game or a 5-point game, and then they basically just got handed the win at that point. Yeah. That to me is unacceptable in the short term. You can move on in the long term as long as they actually do move on and learn from it.
Look, I get it. Fourth quarter sucked. The bench was what gave you this lead. The bench is what kept you in it, and Atlanta starters did what they did most of the game. Atlanta starters defensively played you the way that they had most of the game. And the starters, look, Devin Booker missed some shots and made some mistakes down the stretch that essentially cost you in this one. But as somebody in the chat said, you win as a team, you lose as a team, especially with this group. There were some mistakes. They got to clean some stuff up here. This was one that you could have gotten, but also there were huge swings this entire time in this entire game. It was 20-0 runs. It was 38-15 runs. It was for both sides, and it went back and forth. And the Suns just happened to be on the wrong end of the last run there.
That's what they were on the wrong end of the last run, but again, it wasn't like, hey, Trae Young's got 50 and they're pulling up. It was spread out throughout all of their starters, right? All of their starters scored in double digits. 3 guys in 20 with Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who continues to be the boogeyman for the Suns. That sucks. To me, when I look at this box score, right, and I know that you don't like plus minus, but every single starter had a negative plus minus, and every single bench player not only had a positive, minus Oso, who played 5 minutes, every single bench player that played more than Oso Ighodaro had a double-digit positive plus minus,
which
right?
Is exactly what I just told you. The bench was the one that did everything, and the starters struggled all
when
game.
Your bench gives that to you, when you get 14 from Jordan Goodwin, when you get a near triple-double from Colin Gillespie, when you get good Isaiah Livers minutes and you look at your starters and you aren't getting that same thing reciprocated, right? That is an unfortunate loss. And I think the reason why it stings for me personally is because while we don't expect the Suns to win every game, the way the Suns have been playing and the mental fortitude and toughness that they had, which they showed on the bench in that third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, to me, I did not feel like, oh, they're going to blow this. It didn't seem like the type of team that would make the mental mistakes like that. Now they did, and hopefully it's not a theme. I don't think it will be, but I think that makes it sting just a little bit more tonight.
Some of this is because you had less of an offensive-minded group as your starters, because with Grayson out, you decided to go Ryan. Ryan's not an offensive-minded guy. Royce O'Neal reverted to the mean. He had 3 points. Mark Williams had 8 points, which Mark hasn't had a dominant offensive game lately. So your starters were at a deficit. This was not the group that you've been playing, and you were playing a very young, very rangy,
a really good Atlanta team.
Atlanta guys that play really good defense. I mean, coming into this game over their last 5 games, they were, They were second in defensive rating and 8th in offensive rating since November 8th. Like, it showed in the 4th. They played really damn good defense that turned into good offense. And that was what the Suns did to get back in it, and it fell off in that 4th. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a game where you look at it and you go, I know exactly why they lost. I know exactly why. And that, to me, like, it wasn't like it was a bunch of catastrophic failures. It was, you knew exactly why this team lost. And I'm okay with that, because you can continue to use that, get better, and figure it out. If they had lost 5 coming into this, and you lose like that,
that's different.
I think that's a knockout blow. You lose like this coming off of the way you've been playing, it's an opportunity to grow, because you're going to have nights like this. And I'm okay with it being a learning lesson tonight.
Well, and I think the first 5 games of the season prove to you that they do learn and adapt and change. And obviously, this is not a team that is content with losing it all. This is just the second time the Phoenix Suns have lost at home this season, right? With Atlanta, there is an argument that the Atlanta Hawks are playing some of the best basketball in the association right now, right? And this is the first time in this win streak that you've had, you've really faced a real team. The first time since you beat Wemby and the Spurs. And the Hawks present a unique challenge for the Suns, like you mentioned, with the length, with the athleticism. And I think without Trae Young, there's not just one guy that you can key into. Jalen Johnson's one of the best young players in the league. Reece Shea, before he went down, was having a really solid game. Hopefully, he ends up being okay. You've always struggled to guard Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Onyeka Okongwu hit 3 threes tonight. He's just been an absolute three-point menace the last couple of games, and he was everywhere in 37 minutes. You know, Atlanta's a really good team, and there's no shame in losing to a really good team. And there's no shame in losing in general over an 82-game season, as long as these things don't present themselves as themes. But for me, as a diehard fan of this, when I see my team up 20 points, and then I see the best players check in the game, and they lose the game, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, but Atlanta's best guys checked back in. It's not like the starters for the Suns checked in going up against Atlanta's bench and blew it. Their best guys were coming back in too. Like, I get that. But tonight, it was pretty damn obvious that the bench was better than the starters in terms of head-to-head against the other team's group. It was that the whole night.
So I have a question for you, and I want to ask you that question. Plus, we'll get into our dude of the night. We'll get into our blue-collar boy. We'll look at by the number. Steven will call in from the afterlife and so much more. But we are going to do all of that on the other side of our first break. Look, for a lot of different reasons, there are a lot of people who could use pure edibles right now. Add me to the list, but those of you who want to trade Devin Booker and think Jordan Ott aren't a good coach, which is way too far, definitely indulge in some pure edibles if you're over the age of 21. Not only do they taste good, they're not just weed-covered gummies and sugar, and no, they actually taste like candy, but they tell you exactly the effects that you're going to get. So on the tin, sleepy, uplifted, relaxed, balanced, whatever it is, they use a unique blend of CBN, CBG, CBD, and of course, marijuana-derived THC to get the exact feeling that you want. Plus, they're easy to bite in half or rip in half, making it easy to dial in your exact dose. Plus, they've collabed with my favorite local beer, the Tower Station IPA, for a little THC twist. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from running over 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
You got to check out our friends with the husband and wife law team. If you've been in a serious injury or a serious accident, you can't mess around with who you get as a lawyer. I did that once and I got burned. It was not good. You want somebody that's on your side, and Mark and Alexis Breyer are the husband and wife team. They believe in the Valley. They raise their 8 children here, and they take things serious for you. They're not worried about their bottom line. They're worried about getting the best outcome for you, and that's what makes the husband and wife law team so special. The team brings hundreds of years of combined trial experience. Multiple certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death are on their staff, and they're certified by the State Bar of Arizona. Less than 1% of lawyers are certified in that. So you got to get with the husband and wife law team if you've had a serious injury. Call them first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at the link in our show notes and tell them PHNX sent you.
Appreciate all of you checking in with us here on PHNX Suns. Please hit the like button. We need the good vibes tonight. Hit that subscribe button as well. If you missed it, Steven and I got to talk with Tim Legler of course, the All NBA podcast and ESPN. That's up on our YouTube channel right now. Evergreen conversation about our Phoenix Suns and if it's sustainable, what we saw before tonight. So make sure you go check that out here on this channel. I have a question for you.
Okay.
There's some talk in the chat about the rotations at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
We all see from the numbers and from the eye test that the bench was playing great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Jordan Ott should have kept a couple more of those bench players in the fourth quarter when things got maybe a little more hairy?
No, what I think he should have done was had Dunn out there instead of Colin.
And why is that?
Because defense. Because when you have that big of a lead, you know what can keep you with that lead? Just as much as scoring, stopping the other team. And you couldn't stop them. They were on a 20-0 run. I would have my best defensive guys out there and putting the pressure on them defensively because we know this team can get easy transition buckets when they have that defensive pressure. And I did not like the number of guards that they had out there at that point. I would have went with Dunn and played stronger defense down the stretch rather than trying to get cute with going with a smaller lineup against what essentially was a bunch of 6'5" and bigger guys for Atlanta out there. That's what I had a problem with, and that's what frustrated me was not having that defensive mindset in the fourth and trying to get too cute with it. Now, Jordan Ott's done a lot of good things with his rotation, has pulled a lot of rabbits out of his hat. So, okay, tonight was not the greatest choice. Having Goodwin, Collin out there at times when you probably should have had Dunn in there. You probably should have been trying to put the screws on him defensively at that point. I'm not happy about this loss. Let me make it very clear.
You were doing backflips earlier.
But after, yeah, that's right. Mr. I'm not even, whatever. You look at it, and I've done 7 years with the Suns and here post-game shows. I've ridden the roller coaster. I've seen really bad. We watched really bad last year. This one sucked, and I have some critiques like the defensive stuff. Not happy with the loss, but I'm not going to crash out over it because there are things that they can clean up. And those rotational things, you would hope Jordan Ott doesn't make the same mistake again, that he leans defense rather than offense and getting cute with it in a fourth. There were fundamental things that could have been done differently.
I think the reason why, for me, it's like what I'm feeling right now is a right now thing and will never turn into a big thing.
I know, not you.
But I'm just saying in general because I want to talk to the people who obviously like feel a certain type of way about this because, look, I don't think anybody's ever going to be happy that their team gives up 47 points in the fourth quarter and blows a 20-point lead, especially with the way that this team has been playing, right? Now, I feel fine about the long term because I've seen things that should give me and other people faith in this team will correct their mistakes. Yeah. Jordan Ott will make the right call more often than not. Devin Booker will be a good closer more often than not and make the right basketball decision more often than not, right? So when it comes to, okay, what are we doing on Tuesday against Portland? What are we doing after that as well? I think this team will respond well, and I think it'll be good to move on. Just as a fan and as one that, yes, I mean, look, I've seen my fair share of the ups and downs. I might not have been working for the team or covering the team during some of it, but I was still watching every game and invested in it. And when you have a win in your hands and you see it snatched away, I don't care that there's 81 more. Tonight and tonight, and I don't want them to lose, and they lost the game, and they shouldn't have lost the game.
I get it. And Devin Booker shouldn't have made the mistakes that he made. Jordan Ott shouldn't have made the rotational mistakes that he made down the stretch. There are all sorts of things that you can point at why they lost tonight, and none of those things make me happy. None of them are things that you want to see from a team. And this team had you believing on such a high that they weren't going to have those mistakes. But guess what? This team's still very flawed. And when you're missing Jalen, when you're missing Grayson, and your offense can't hit a damn shot in the first half, even when you go up 20, you're setting yourself up for potential danger because you're not firing on all cylinders. And they weren't. And you can't give up a 38-15 run. You just can't. You can't give up a 20-0 run as part of that. You just can't. And defense is where I was most frustrated because this defense is good enough to stop a team in the midst of that. They made mental mistakes. There was 4-point play that shouldn't have happened.
Offensive rebounds that were given.
Yeah, like there are so many things that were mistakes tonight. You had fewer assists. That's problematic. You can't. The ball movement has to continue. There were some questionable calls. This isn't the ref's fault, but there were some questionable calls.
That picture
as well. The Devin Booker
getting elbowed in the face. Yeah.
I mean that. And Dillon Brooks makes some dumb mental mistakes, but we accept that because that's who he is. That hook driving down the lane in the fourth was a momentum shifter, and it was a dumb thing to do. So there's plenty of things that are frustrating about tonight. And there's no doubt on that. It's just I'm not gonna freak out about the overall.
So let's do this then, right? Let's shift gears here. Okay. Obviously, this sucks. We all agree this sucks. Nobody wants the Suns to lose. They haven't lost in a long time. It's their first loss since November 4th. That's 12 days. Okay, we've gone almost 2 weeks without the Suns losing a game, and before that, they had won 2 in a row. So it's been a while since we felt this pain, which is nice. In general, it's nice. The highs of this game, Espo, were so high, and I think that's something that we need to talk about right now. Because let's talk about the fact that this bench came in there, Isaiah Livers, Colin Gillespie, Jordan Goodwin, Nick Richards. These are guys that went out there against the Atlanta Hawks, put in so much hustle and heart and energy. I mean, let's just get to our love the play of the night, presented by, of course, our friends over at the Arizona Lottery. Play and gift today if you are over the age of 21. Colin Gillespie going Rodman and diving out on the sideline and saving a ball for a bucket. I mean, just that little stretch of hustle there. Dillon Brooks forcing the jump ball and getting thrown, but holding on to the ball. That little stretch right there, that made everybody get so high and so happy on this is Phoenix Suns basketball. And that's a good thing. You can take that away tonight. You didn't just roll over and die.
Yeah, I that was the epitome of this year's Suns team. Right there is they work hard, they hustle, and they made a smart play there. Now, tonight's game was a microcosm of how this season's been at times. You saw early on they gave up a lot of these runs. They gave up crazy big quarters scoring. You saw them lose a close game like they did, a couple times already, like in that Memphis game. Like this was a weird amalgamation of everything that we've seen, but that play in particular is Suns basketball at its best right now. Is Colin doing the dirty work and hopping out of bounds to get that ball, leading to a nice bucket. Dillon, hustling and making a smart play, and not letting his emotions take over at that point. Like that was the best of what we get from this Suns team.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the best from tonight. I'm honestly interested to see chat's reaction to our Dude of the Night, presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. It is Dillon Brooks. Now, Dillon Brooks with a season-high 34 points, following up his season-high 32 points in last game, 14 of 25 from the field, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist. Also, Dillon Brooks out there put 3 steals in 36 minutes. A very up-and-down game at the end for him, but overall, Espo, you're not even in this game if it wasn't for Dillon Brooks going on some pretty crazy scoring stretches.
Yeah, first time in his career he's had back-to-back 30-point games. But again, that's a microcosm of who Dillon Brooks is. You're going to get really high highs. You're going to get some stupid plays that are going to happen, and you accept that because Dillon is kind of that heartbeat and energy of this team. And so you know that's going to happen. You just hope it doesn't happen at critical junctures or junctions of the game, and it did tonight. I still don't understand what that technical was.
They didn't show it on the TV.
We've got no explanation on that.
Steven.
So,
and
that bothers me, right? That's but overall what he did was another pretty offensive performance. There were a few of them where you're like, no, okay.
Yeah.
And that's
Dillon Brooks experience.
Yeah. No. Okay.
And the way that he plays, and I think the way that we saw him assimilate in when Jalen Green was playing, the way that he can also share the floor with Grayson Allen, and now the way when those two guys are out, that he can go out there and be a main offensive engine. He was the Suns' leading scorer tonight. And 14 of 25 from the field is crazy efficient. 3 of 7 from deep is crazy efficient. This guy was doing just about everything while playing really good defense and taking the toughest defensive assignment as well. There are plays on the margins, like you mentioned, that you wish you could have back. That is part of the experience. You would hope that collectively as a team, you can be better so that those 1 or 2 points don't bite you in the ass like they did tonight. And they shouldn't have tonight. You shouldn't have been in a spot where 1 or 2 points bite you in the ass. There's about a million other things that we talked about at the beginning of the game or the beginning of the show that did, right? Along with what Dillon did as well.
I mean, you hit one of those threes that you missed when you shot 17% in the first half, and this game probably looks a little bit different.
Devin Booker hits 1 out of his 6 threes. This game is completely different.
By the way, AZBG602, I just want to say happy birthday, and I'm sorry that you got 2 losses. I saw you comment that earlier. That hurts, and I'm preparing for it. Later on in November, I have a feeling my birthday's on a Cardinal Sunday.
Oh,
so
no.
I feel you as well, my guy. But happy birthday to you. But yeah, that first half, I know that you come back in the third. I know you build that lead, but that first half is where you hurt yourself. You go down 13, you can't hit a 3 like that. That had shades of what happened to you early in the season. Then you're digging out of a hole, and then you don't play defense in the fourth. That's how it works.
Well, somehow they ended up with a lead at halftime, which was insane. I felt like they should have been down 15 or 20 in the first half. And that in its own right is a testament and a positive thing about tonight. The Suns weren't hitting shots. They shot 12% from deep in the first half. And they had a 1-point lead against, again, people are going to say it's the Hawks without Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis. Well, guess what? The Hawks without Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis have played their best basketball of the season.
They won 8 of 9 without Trae. And Kristaps has been hot trash this year. He's shooting like 24% from deep. So yeah, those may be the 2 biggest names. But the guys that were out there that did you in tonight, Jalen Johnson and crew, those are the guys that have been kicking ass for this Atlanta team over their win streak.
I mean, Jalen Johnson is one of my favorite young players in the league when he's not playing the Suns. And obviously he proved why tonight. But with the Suns in general, there are a lot of positives you could take away from. And again, it's a 2-point swing. 2 different points go differently. You don't give up an offensive rebound. You don't give up a putback. Then we're having a different conversation here. Now, there are also just overall performances that, you don't really love tonight, and I think Mark Williams is one of them. Now, he did shoot 4 of 5 from the field, but he only had 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist in 28 minutes. He's had low stat games, Espo, where it felt like he still had a good impact. Tonight did not feel like one of them.
No, and he had some boards that he should have grabbed that he tips. Now, that's part of his game. He does that, but it felt like he could have grabbed some more boards. There were a few times, especially in that first half, where nobody put a body on a guy for the Hawks that was crashing the boards. That's where Mark should be able to help you a little bit more, and he didn't. This was a rough game for Mark Williams, but the guy I put a lot of the onus on is Royce O'Neal, who's been a guy that has helped you carry your offense. Some would suggest maybe your 3rd best offensive player at times this year until Dillon's hot streak the last 2 games. And a guy that's been a consistent 3-point shooter. At one point had, I think, the 4th most 3-pointers made on the season, a handful of games back. He goes 1 of 6 from 3, 1 of 9 from the field. And that's just not going to get it done when you're trying to make up for what Grayson isn't bringing you out there. You need him to hit at least a few of those. And again, that changes the whole complexion of this game, and he just couldn't do it.
No, he couldn't. I mean, 1 of 6 and 1 of 9 from him from 3 and from the field. He has been one of the best shooters in the NBA. He's also been really, really good at passing. He had a couple decent passes today, but only 1 assist tonight. Grayson Allen has been the second best basketball player for this team, and they're missing him. And they're also missing, in theory, their second best overall player. Yeah. And they're playing a good Atlanta team. Again, you could say you drop those two guys on the court tonight, and this is a big victory for the Suns.
You drop just Grayson on this court tonight, and it's a different game altogether. But like Coach Ott says, you go out there and you play with whoever you got, and there's no excuses. So you can do that, but there's no excuse. Tonight you lost, and you didn't do enough to get the victory. And then now you got to go out, and it makes Tuesday's game, a 9 p.m. game on national television, all that much more important on the road. You've got to go out there and you've got to perform at your top, especially defensively now. And you hope that Devin finds a way to bounce back, especially late in the game. This is the kind of game where you needed Devin Booker to take over at the end, and he didn't. And that
he did a little bit. He did a little bit. He went on the Hawks.
He had a couple mistakes.
The Hawks went on that 20-0 run, right? And then when Book kind of took over on a little mini stretch there, it ballooned back up, and then that was it, right? You needed more out of him, plus 5 turnovers to 7 assists tonight. I don't love that ratio. 0-6 from deep. That's not acceptable from him. But he did go on a little stretch there where he was driving and he was finishing. But I agree. The onus is going to be put on the star, and the love is going to be put on the star. Devin Booker's been getting a lot of praise from Tim Legler when we talked to him, from national accounts on Twitter, from national analysts. If they're talking about the Suns, they're talking about one guy, Devin Booker. So you got to talk about him when the game doesn't go their way as well.
Yeah, and look, Devin Booker is still that guy.
Yes.
A game like tonight doesn't change that. One game doesn't change any of this. But, I mean, you can't have him go 0-6 from deep. The pull-up 3 to try to go up 9 and instead of throwing it to Mark to go up 8 there late or middle of the fourth felt like me to be the momentum changer there, because if you get it to Mark and he gets that dunk and all of a sudden you're up 8, you just had a steal that led to a fast break that led to a dunk. All of a sudden, that crowd gets back into it. The momentum stays in your favor. Instead, it swings towards Atlanta. And it's those little things that wind up becoming bigger problems. And that just happened to be a bad play for Book tonight. And you need him to find that three-point stroke again, because he was shooting 40-some-odd% for the year, a handful of games ago. And then he's fallen off a cliff the last 3.
I mean, it's been really bad.
Like it's been bad.
They've been winning.
He's got to find it.
But it's been bad.
Yeah, and that's a testament to his ability to pass the ball. It's a testament to his teammates up until the night hitting those open shots and the good looks that they were getting. Tonight they didn't.
Well, and you got to give credit to Devin Booker as well, forcing that jump ball against Onyeka Okongwu. That's a heads-up play for sure. I mean, then committing a foul on the jump ball is tough.
I didn't see what the ref saw, but
he went underneath and he hooked his arm on the way up. You can't touch the other guy when you're jumping up. But I will say this. I like what Rudy said in the chat before we hit a break here. Says, even though we lost, still feel better about this than the last 3 years. I now enjoy again watching Suns games. There were multiple moments tonight where I was out of my chair clapping and getting excited, where the overall tenor on this team was, this is awesome. Right? You didn't get that. And I'm not even just trying to hate on the guys that were on the team last year, but just over the last couple of years, you didn't get stuff like that. There was always this impending sense of doom. I think it's okay for people to take that into account when not wanting to hit a panic button about, again, 1 out of 82 games, ending a 5-game win streak and winning, 7 out of your last 8. So it was a tough loss. There were some good performances. We talked about one. We'll talk about our blue-collar boy. We'll look at the numbers, and we'll hear some sound from the arena and talk to Steve. And we're going to do all of that right here on PHNX Suns after our second break. I love stopping by Circle K no matter what. The other day, I played a little basketball game against somebody.
Humble brag.
And, I might have whooped some serious ass, possibly. And
we're down 3-0.
And then I went on an 11-0 run, and I deserved a treat. So I stopped by my local Circle K, and I looked for my favorite electrolyte drink, and I got it. 2 for $5. 2 for $5 on sale, because I am a member of the Inner Circle, and you can be a member of the Inner Circle as well. It's super easy. Download the Circle K app, put in your phone number, and put in your email, and immediately you're saving money. Like this Thursday, November 20th, fully registered Inner Circle members can enjoy 40 cents off per gallon at participating Circle K locations across Arizona. All you have to do is enter your phone number at the pump and you get 40 cents off per gallon. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for full details.
A lot of you are taking this loss rough.
Yeah.
So you may need to hide your eyes tomorrow.
Maybe.
And the way to do it is with our friends at Shady Rays. You can get the best sunglasses you're going to be able to get anywhere, right? And you're going to be able to get their amazing guarantee. If they're lost, they're stolen, they're broken, guess what? They're going to replace them.
What?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. Could you imagine if there were that in a relationship? My wife would replace me 17 years ago. Like, and
you're throwing Shady Rays at yourself.
I mean, look at that. Yeah. So, you've got to have that kind of guarantee because you're not getting it anywhere else in life because Shady Rays has changed the game. Their sunglasses are made for real life. They're seriously good looking. They're polarized, kind of like our chat. They're durable and not stupidly expensive. So why wouldn't you get these glasses? Because you can wear your sunglasses with no fear on hikes, at concerts, on boats, wherever. You can wear them, and they're gonna have your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to ShadyRays.com. Use the promo code PHNX. 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And Chachi, I saw your message. You're welcome. I'm glad I can make you feel a little bit better tonight about this game.
Well, there you go. Look. Oh man, see, I'm of course I'm Mr. Emotions, I'm Mr. Live and Die, Suns must win, all of that, and even I am just seeing some stuff that people are saying, and I'm like, wow.
I'm just gonna say, and I say this as a man that takes medications for this. Boom shakalaka, did you forget yours today? You're a bigger roller coaster than the Dillon Brooks experience right now, my man.
Look, guys. If you have been in PHNX chats for long enough, you understand the difference between a win and a loss, chat. There are people who show up for wins, there are people who show up for losses, and there are people that show up for both. No matter who you are, just hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button as well. We continue here on the PHNX Suns postgame show presented by Bet365. We'll get some sound from Dillon Brooks here in a minute, but Espo, like we've mentioned multiple times, there have been some good individual performances from the Suns tonight, and I don't want to take away from those. I want to be able to highlight those. So in a second here, I'd like to get to our blue collar boy of the night. I want the chat to guess, though. I want the chat to guess who is our blue collar boy of the night, because I think like multiple games, Espo, there's at least a conversation about it.
I'm the blue collar boy.
You are.
Yeah,
what did you do?
I carried your ass all night.
Did you?
Same with the Mamba.
Did you? You carried Mamba? Well, I know that's just not true.
No, I think there were a lot of guys, and this is weird because it kind of, this was another thing that had been flowed tonight. At one point, it felt like Dillon was going to be both. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
He had an argument for it. And there was a lot of guys at different times. Like at one point I thought, could it be Isaiah Livers? I mean,
sure.
He had 2 3-pointers in a stretch there at 5 rebounds. He was a guy that as they made that run, he had a great portion of that was hustling. There were a lot of guys. I mean, even Jordan Goodwin had a good argument for it.
I think he's perennially in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, he, again, quintessential blue-collar boy if you're talking to the context, Stephen Prigion Gardner.
I mean,
shout out to Stephen for getting a little shout-out on the broadcast.
Our guy. Jordan Goodwin, just to give him some love, 14 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 1 of 2 from deep. His offensive game has been incredible in 22 minutes, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal as well. Playing great defense, rebounding the ball awesome. He had 2 offensive rebounds tonight. He has been one of the best rotation players on the Suns. I hope he continues to get minutes when Jalen Green and Grayson Allen are back, because he's earned them.
Remember when people didn't want him to get the final roster spot?
Oh, I remember. Trust me, I was in the middle of that fight.
I remember.
But none of those guys are blue-collar boy that I... In fact, it is going to go to one and only Colin Gillespie, a near triple-double off the bench, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals in 32 minutes, a plus 18 on the night, and a 2-point loss for Colin Gillespie. Obviously, our play of the night, him diving out of bounds. He continues to bring a spark, hit a 4-point play when he got a nut shot as well.
Yeah, he's probably still, he probably has a,
I mean, that was insane.
Testicular, what, contusion? Is that what we call a bruise?
We could just punch people while they're shooting threes now. Yeah. I think that's crazy.
Speed bag it, I think is what we call it. So
Colin Gillespie has been awesome off the bench for this team. He's playing good defense. He's hitting tough shots as well off the dribble. Yeah. I think Atlanta gave him a lot of attention tonight, and he handled it really well. Another guy along with Jordan Goodwin that when we talk about guard depth on this team, when the conversation was beginning of the season, it was the theory of Colin Gillespie taking a leap. He's definitely taking a leap. He's definitely ready to contribute. And now Jordan Goodwin's in there as well. You're missing 2 other guards tonight. This is a team that is now very deep at the guard position when fully healthy.
Yes, and that's exciting to know that you're going to have multiple options on a night that somebody may not have it. You've got other people to turn to, right? And that's going to be key. Right now, I mean, I said this to you. I turned to you and I said, if this Suns team over the last couple of years had been this far down in their rotation, if they had lost multiple guys at one position and they were turning to their 3rd, 4th, 5th guard, whatever the case may be, that would have been a recipe for disaster. Now, I don't feel like that because you got to trust in Colin Gillespie. You've got trust in Jordan Goodwin. Like, these are guys that are rotational guys that you can trust in, that can come in and help you when you're having injury issues. I've been impressed with what they've been able to do.
Yeah, listen, this team has the depth because they've had to use it. They've had to use it when Dillon Brooks was out. Obviously, Jalen Green has been out. Now Grayson Allen is out, and Colin Gillespie has been steady the entire way. He's not been perfect, but damn, he has been really good. He is a winning player, and right now this is a winning team. This is still a team that's 8-6, that's 6-2 at home, right? Yeah. That has won still 6 out of their last 10 games, right? Which is great.
I mean, if you had told me at any stretch they'd win 60% of their games this season, I would say, hey, that's a hell of a lot better than the odds makers had it. I am surprised. Like, originally coming in, we thought maybe center was where their depth is. And it's not. It's actually in this guard grouping, and that gives me a lot of hope for where they can go. And look, yeah, I know it's tough to think about hope after a rough loss, but everybody was ready to call time of death after that Memphis loss on the buzzer beater, and guess what? They responded to that. So hopefully this is another opportunity to respond. So.
We'll have some responses from Dillon Brooks and Jordan Ott here in a second, but first I do want to take a look at the numbers. Buying the numbers presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Of course, the only number that matters is unfortunately in the negative for the first time in 5 games. 124-122, the Atlanta Hawks walk away with a victory. The Suns did have some good margins tonight, Espo, but it wasn't enough to get the win at home.
No, I mean, you see, they actually had 12 more shots than the Hawks tonight, but the Hawks hit 53% of their shots to 40. Is that 6 or 8? I've got terrible eyesight. 48.5% for the Suns. But this is where they lose it, and this is where in most of the season they're winning this margin. They went 10 or 30 from deep. The Hawks went 14 of 43. So those 4 extra shots are 12 points right there. That you lose out on, even though you had 12 more shots than the Hawks. That's your difference right there. That and the free throw attempts being 5 more. That's how you lose when you crush them on the boards, 47-34. But again, the Hawks also had better ball movement than you tonight. They had 35 assists to your 24. Ball movement's been a hallmark of this team.
Absolutely.
And tonight, it didn't happen. You weren't getting those assists like you had. Usually you're getting, in most cases, over well over 50% of your shots on assists, or your makes on assists tonight, just barely over 50% this evening. That was a problem, especially in that fourth quarter. Ball movement stopped. Now, that's partially Atlanta clamping down defensively, but it was also you getting out of your rhythm in terms of your offense.
Do you know which team had more turnovers tonight? What does your gut tell you? Who turned the ball over more?
The Hawks.
It's tied, 17-17. Okay. But I feel like they're not an even 17 because I think the Suns' turnovers came at some more crucial times. Yeah. And Atlanta capitalized a little bit more. Atlanta scored 29 points off of turnovers. The Suns scored 23. Now, the Suns are one of the worst fast break defenses as far as getting scored on per possession in the NBA. Now, they have allowed it a pretty decently low amount of times, but when it does happen, they get scored on. Atlanta has been very good at forcing turnovers and getting out and finishing with this athleticism in the transition. That is another margin that I think Atlanta won this game. Fast break points. You want to know how many fast break points the Suns had tonight?
Sure. Not enough.
Guess.
I'm going to say 16.
5.
The Suns had there you go.
5 fast break points tonight, and part of that is Atlanta's defense for sure. But another part of that is bad decision-making. There was a couple book fast breaks where the pull three for Mark Williams. There was another one, I believe, earlier in the quarter, or actually maybe it was earlier in the game, that he was driving down the court, and he just pulled up and stopped the momentum on a fast break. And they might have ended up scoring, but I didn't like how they ran that fast break. That is something that this team is going to have to learn and get better at over time.
Well, we talked about it in pregame. This is still a team that has a very slim margin for error that you have to hit on in most categories to be able to win, and they have been doing that. Tonight, they made mistakes and they paid for it. I'm willing to bet, and I haven't looked it up, forgive me, but I'm guessing a lot of their turnovers came in that fourth, where a lot of Atlanta's turnovers probably came in that late second and third quarter when the Suns made their run.
Yeah, likely. Yeah. I mean, I think that you can probably just look at how many turnovers the bench forced, which actually is only 3. They only had, I guess only 3 steals. They could force more turnovers than that. Look, the reality is the numbers in certain senses aren't great. We are going to hear some words from Dillon Brooks and from Coach Ott, and we'll get to your super chats as well while we wait for Steven to call in from the afterlife. Here's the Phoenix Suns drop their first game since November 4th, 124 to 122. We will be commercial free after our final break. Of course, PHNX Suns is brought to you by Bet365, and no matter the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Now, look, you can sometimes just bet money line, and if you did for the Suns tonight, obviously you'd be disappointed, but you could have bet a variety of different things.
You wouldn't have been disappointed because they went up 20. You would have won on
Bet365. Oh, that's huge.
So you would have won even though they lost.
Well, they've got that for NBA. They have that for the MLB when it's in season. For the NFL, they have jackpots for Thursday Night Football, for Sunday Night Football. They have a 50% Super Boost profit token on same game parlays for Monday Night Football. They have just about everything over at Bet365. Now new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5 win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 52342 or visit promgambling.az.gov.
If you won some cash, you need somewhere to put it.
You do.
And our friends at Mountain America Credit Union have the perfect place for you to put it with their My Style checking account. But the best part is you can get the Phoenix Suns card with it, whether you're getting that checking account or if you decide to get a credit card with them, you can have the Phoenix Suns with you because they are the official credit union of the Phoenix Suns. And there's no annual fee credit cards. They have low rates, cashback, or reward card options. So you're going to have a great opportunity to do some nice things with that as well. And Mountain America is here to guide you forward on your financial journey. If you get that My Style checking account, you can get some loan rate discounts. And if you're looking to try to get into your first home, you're trying to start a business, whatever you're trying to do, that's there to help you. So take advantage of it now. Visit macu.com/suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply and exclusions apply, just like life loans on approved credit. And there are a lot of bridges without their trolls tonight because I think they're all in our chat.
I love it, man. I love it. I know that it's really annoying for a lot of people, but you just got to accept that it's
Feed
funny.
That algorithm, baby.
It's just funny. It's just funny. Look, we're gonna get to some sound here in a second. I think that when the Suns play a couple more games this week, the tenor from some people in this chat are probably going to change. I would say there is absolutely nowhere near a panic button right now after, again, one game. And there are some haters who are like, the Suns are never going to be the 6th seed. It's like, okay, so we're just moving goalposts now. But look, let's hear from Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks talked to, of course, our guy Steven and the rest of the media post-game, and he voiced some confusion and frustration with the fourth quarter officiating.
I don't get that.
And then you
at least wait until they foul or something. Like, if that's a serious play, then hold it dead right there and then. Like, that's outrageous. And then when you want to tell them what's wrong, you're going to have to take it. You're a ref. And then you want to control the game, the whole game, give calls for the other team and then not call it on the other side. Missed calls at that. Like, that changed the whole game.
Is that what you saw in a lot of the and ones for you guys giving up in the fourth?
100%. No, there's could be and ones, but there's fouls on the other end. Booking stopped right there in the middle of the floor. Every 3 refs missing, shit, you might have to add a fourth back if that's going on. So, like, it's just bad energy. And I don't know who has to look at that, Joe or Adam, because that's not it.
Whether he's right or wrong about the officiating, do you like this from Dillon Brooks?
It's Dillon Brooks.
Do you care?
This is Dillon Brooks. I expect this kind of thing, and there's nothing wrong with it. He's frustrated with the officiating. He's not a guy that's going to bite his tongue. There were moments tonight that you looked at it, but it's not why you gave up a 20-0 run. Mm-hmm. It's not why you gave up a 38-15 run to lose this game. Could it have changed maybe some things? Yeah, but it's not why. You didn't get stops. You didn't score when you needed to, and that's not on the refs.
Yeah, I don't hate it. He is going to lose some more money. He got fined $25,000 for the crotch chop. He's definitely going to be getting another fine for that. I'd be shocked if Jordan Ott said similar things, but this is what he had to say about the Suns' fourth quarter performance.
No, great third quarter. Fourth quarter wasn't. These games are so emotional. I think some of these is great lessons learned, but you do have to look at the film of what exactly went down, what exactly happened. There's so much that goes on in game. Obviously, some of it comes down to the shot making. The 47 points in the fourth, anyone can look at that and know that's probably not a recipe for success any night.
Yeah, it definitely not the recipe for success.
But like we talked about, gonna look at the film, and then they go back in the lab, and they're going to correct the mistakes to let them to this.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that we haven't seen is this team making the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Yeah.
This is a team that seems to correct those mistakes at times. So, I will give them the benefit of the doubt that that'll happen again.
Yeah, and he was also asked, there was a follow-up question about what he would have liked to seen the Suns do during that Hawks 20-0 run that really made this a game in the fourth.
Overall, in the fourth, we lost our way at different points. I think we turned it over a couple times, of course. They were able to get shots around the rim. I think even Daniels a couple times around the rim. At that point, you just got to regain your composure, execute a little bit offensively, and just get one stop, and then the snowball goes the other way. I thought we had the momentum, obviously, in the third quarter. And it really felt that way, really the entire third, especially there at the end. And, we just lost our way.
I mean, they certainly did. And I think Grayson in the chat made a good point. I think he may have made the wrong mistake in terms of challenging that call there because, and you guys made the point. And originally I agreed with what they were doing because if it wasn't a foul, the Suns would have gotten the ball down 1. With just under a minute left. Instead, they challenge it, they lose, and they lose their final timeout.
And you really could costly
down the stretch because as close as Royce got to hit that shot to try to win it at the end, if you had had a timeout, you could have advanced it. Yeah, I think that was a mistake. One of the things that he can go back and learn and go, Maybe I shouldn't do that next time.
Yeah, look, Jordan Knott, we've had nothing but positive things to say about Jordan Knott, mainly. Maybe a rotation here or there, maybe a substitution here or there that we don't like. But overall, and I think deservedly so, we've been very upright and positive about him. He has now coached 14 games in the NBA.
Yeah.
There's going to be a learning process, and I think if anybody is going to be obsessive about learning and getting better, it will be him. He's been pretty good on challenges, I feel like, so far this season. I don't know the exact numbers on it, but overall, he's still been hitting a lot of the right buttons. I trust that this will not be something that happens forever. And plus, your star, Devin Booker, turned to you in a crucial moment and said, review it. Sometimes you don't listen to them. Like when they're asking for it 2 minutes into the game, it's like, no, I'm not going to challenge the damn play. We're 2 minutes into the game.
I still think if the coach doesn't challenge it, the player should get fined for doing this. Like,
yeah. So
it's a delay a game, essentially.
So I think that when you look at that moment, maybe it ends up being different. Maybe it doesn't. It would have been nice to have a timeout there. Who knows what would have ended up in the first place. If they had a timeout and they didn't use it, then maybe we'd be talking about what if they didn't call foul because Jalen Johnson kind of got in the way of him. So it's all the what ifs games. If Royce O'Neal hits a 3/4 court shot, then I'm taking my hat off and throwing it at the camera and doing a handstand.
We got 150 new supporters club members because everybody's freaking out.
Which, by the way, we had 75 last show, which is awesome. If you want to become a member, like everybody with a badge next to their name and a green name as well, get access to exclusive emojis like, of course, our Dillon Brooks emoji that we just added, an alignment emoji that we have, the Shazam emoji that we have as well, plus for other sports as well. AZ says it right. If ifs were a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
It's the old Booker thing, and that's the birthday boy. I hope he has had a few fifths.
We hope you're drunk.
Yeah, because
after
as
the
Cardinals and the Suns performance like this today, you deserve to be.
Look, somebody who deserved being blue-collar boy was Colin Gillespie. And obviously he knows a thing or two about rebounding, but when it comes to the offensive rebounds that the Atlanta Hawks were able to grab in the fourth quarter, this is what Colin had to say post-game.
Definitely done a better job. We got to find bodies in those situations, especially I think it might have been Johnson who tipped it up a couple times, and then Daniels was just kind of standing there and everybody was just watching the ball. So I think we had 3 or 4 guys standing there just watching the ball. We got to hit bodies and make sure we get a tag on somebody so that they're just not jumping around taking free jumps.
I like that. Keep everybody honest. That was bad. That was a big flaw tonight, was not actually putting a body on somebody. And it happened in the first half when they got down, and it happened in that fourth quarter. And I have no problem with calling that out, because that is something they need to get better on. And he was the leading rebounder tonight, with 9 for the Suns. He has the right to say, hey, where the hell was everybody else on the boards? I'm 6'1", and I was doing this.
Sure. And, this is a team that clearly, and I tweeted it, they love playing with each other. They trust each other. They're going to go through the highs together. They've already responded to a lot of lows and much lower lows than this. This is a team that has been winning games on the margins more often than not. If you have controllable things that are effort and energy and being kind of dialed in, which is what was exposed a little bit tonight. I don't see that being a problem consistently throughout the season. But again, these guys are human. They make mistakes. They're not going to be perfect forever, as long as they just do it better and better as the season goes on, and they don't let this be a theme. This isn't a problem. This can suck and this can be a road bump, but it's not a problem.
No.
Yet.
If
it's
we
like,
get a
hey, we're 10
week-long
post games
stretch,
in, and then that's different. But right now it's one game and it sucks.
100%.
Well, one thing that doesn't suck is we'll get to Stephen Prejean Gardner calling in from the afterlife here soon enough, and we'll get to your super chats as well after we talk to Stephen. We do appreciate everybody who has been hanging out with us, so continue to hang out. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. Check out the conversation that Stephen and I had with Tim Legler. Let's go ahead and check in with Stephen right now, wearing all black for the Suns' funeral as they drop to the Hawks. 124 to 122. Stephen, the win streak is over, and if you listen to some people in the chat, it's time to burn it all down. How are you feeling?
Well, I would never suggest arson in any capacity.
Boo!
Get that started now. Hey, you the one that came in speaking about flames and all of that. Definitely a tough loss though. That was a wild turn of events. They were up the up what they were going into the fourth, and then conceding almost 50 points in one quarter, and especially the deciding quarter. It doesn't matter what you do for the first three quarters. You give up 47 in that fourth, 10 times out of 10 you lose in that game. So they definitely will. I mean, everybody was saying they want to go back and look at the film, but I think you can just have been in the moment or have watched the game and can tell they just didn't match the urgency that the Atlanta Hawks played with in that fourth quarter. And
What
that's simply non-negotiable. Non-negotiable.
what was the breakdown on the defensive end in that fourth quarter? Because their defense is what really got them back in it and led to easy offense, which has been the case most of the season. And then it seemed to just disappear in that fourth.
Yeah. Again, for me, just off of the initial watch, it felt like their offense put them in a bad way defensively. Turnovers, live ball turnovers, missed shots that didn't come in a rhythm and cadence that they wanted them to, which kind of springboarded Atlanta's transition offense into the mix. And then they started feeling good about themselves. They forced the first time out from Jordan Knott, kind of forced his hand there. They come out, rinse and repeat a little bit of the same, and now they're feeling good in the half court, and they're getting paint touches galore. That's not what was happening in the third quarter, especially. And even in that latter end of the second quarter, when the Suns came back to take the lead by one going into the second half, their defense found its footing, and they were dictating with it. And that's the space that when we talk about them being their best, they're doing that. They didn't get to that portion. Some of it because of the offense and the shots just not falling. But the other part, I feel like they just didn't have the urgency to match what Atlanta was doing, which feels like the first time we've said that about this Suns team all season so far.
How do you analyze Devin Booker's game tonight? How are you feeling about it on a 124-122 loss?
Yeah. I think Devin was solid defensively. He had some moments where he kind of got lost off the ball at times. I don't know if they all resulted in opportunities for Atlanta as far as him being cut back door and him scoring or offensive rebounds, but there was a few times he did get lost off the ball, but there also were a handful of times where he made some impact plays. The jump ball, gaining that extra possession at the end of the game is one that stands out to me. And then there was a couple other times he was just solid in his positioning, good with help, good with communication. But to the offensive side, I mean, I don't know if y'all spoke to it in pregame, but Atlanta came into today with the fourth best half court defense, and I think like sixth or seventh best general defense in terms of rating. So, team full of athletes, all 6'5" and up, that just get after it in unique ways. If you have to switch and Jalen Johnson starts a possession, it might be Nickeil Alexander-Walker finishing that possession, or Dyson Daniels finishing that possession. Do you really lose an advantage with if you're switching off of the primary matchup when it's one of those guys? Or it might even be a Nneka Okongwu, who's more than a plus defender at the 5 and one of the best switch defenders in the league. So they were just really good with their defense in that fourth quarter, especially. Very physical crop of athletes that they have. And, yeah, I think he could be better in certain pockets with the decision-making. Of course, that's something that we go back and forth with all season long with him. But I think there were a couple moments where they flipped a mismatch and got something that they wanted, and either his decision making wasn't as decisive as it was in earlier moments of the game, or there was a play in the fourth quarter where they go to action that felt like they wanted to give him the ball, and he just kind of went away to create space rather than going to get the ball. And I think they ended up turning the ball over on that possession. I think just little things like that they're learning, especially operating without both Jalen and Grayson, that kind of puts a little bit more of a demand on him.
Can you help explain something to me? Because there was the technical foul on Dillon Brooks around the time of the Ricochet injury. Mm-hmm. What happened there? Because they didn't really explain it real well on television. It was quite confusing. How do you get the tech?
Yeah. So it would have been hard for them to explain it on the broadcast because we didn't understand it either. And I don't know if you all played the clip from Dillon yet, but Dillon said essentially that it was a buildup of kind of bad will from the officials and them kind of taking it out on him in that moment and not providing clarity to why the tech was given and why other things were happening over the course of the game as well that kind of built up to that moment. So If y'all haven't played the clip already, I'll take the the role of Eric and kind of queuing that up because
We
Dillon
played
can
it.
provide that 30 more. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, clearly he wasn't understanding what was going on. Other players weren't as well, and yeah, it kind of culminated in that. And I think some of that also tied into some of the calls we saw in the fourth quarter, unfortunately, as well.
So we'll talk about this obviously in depth. We have a 3 p.m. show tomorrow before a post game on Tuesday night, a 9 p.m. one, Steven. We're going to be in our pajamas for that one.
PJ party.
How confident are you, just quickly here, in the Suns learning from and rebounding from a loss like this?
I'm honestly, we haven't seen them have a game like this yet. So I'm like split 50-50 on it. Definitely eyebrow raised to it, but not overreacting to it at the same time. Because this is quite literally the first time we've seen them have a moment like this all season long. So now it's about, okay, take your time. It happened. Cool. You take your time to assess and adjust. Make note of things to watch out for going forward, because the opportunity for this to potentially happen again is likely going to present itself sometime over the next month of games, where they're going against all these playoff level teams with a handful that have some expectations come postseason. So I'll be watching for how they respond to these situations when they present themselves coming forward. But I caution not to overreact to this in the moment, because again, it's quite literally the first time we've seen something like this happen to a team that's been overachieving by many people's eyes over these last 2.5 weeks of play.
What did you make of Ott's rotations tonight, in particular in the fourth quarter, where he decided to keep Colin out there with the starters instead of bringing Ryan Dunn back in? To me, it seemed like it was probably time to clamp down on defense. It seemed like he stayed a little bit smaller and was trying to hope the offense would get going.
Yeah, it felt like he was just looking for that spark that Colin gave them over the course of the game, and really over the course of this win streak that they've been enjoying. Now, naturally, he wasn't able to find those gaps because of the lack of rhythm that they saw on the offensive end in the half court. A lot of that coming because their defense wasn't sharp, and they were kind of going up against the set defense of the Atlanta Hawks so often. So I think it was a kind of push and pull with all of that. I think they aired on Colin more so just because they needed the offense and they needed some people to put the ball in the basket, because Devin wasn't on the court in the stretch, and then when Devin did come on, he couldn't really get it going quick because everything that Atlanta has in terms of their defensive capital. So it was a tough kind of in-the-moment call. I don't think it was a bad one, though. I just don't think they executed to the extent in which they showed they could, even in just the third quarter.
Before we get out of here, Steven, I want to read a super chat highlighting something that was really cool that happened today. This one coming from Charles. $4.99 super chat says, "This is for Steven for getting a shout out tonight by K-Ray." Did you hear or see the shout out that K-Ray gave you on the broadcast?
No, so of course I didn't hear it. I saw like maybe a notification or two during the game, but I didn't have time to pay much attention to it because there was so much happening. And needless to say, I don't know what quarter the shout out came in, but the fourth quarter had more than enough of my attention because of everything that was going on. But I appreciate K-Ray for that. And I think, Eric, you might have tagged me in something. I didn't get a chance to react or respond.
I did tweet celebrating. I was very happy.
He called you the greatest basketball savant of all time and a guy that everybody should listen to.
Is that all what he said, Espo?
No, that's not. Come on,
that's how I heard it.
We're journalists here. You know, we speak the truth and nothing but the truth. He also said, "Cutest legs in the business," right? Legs in the business.
He was applauding you because you had some great stats that he referenced and said, essentially, you always find that kind of good stuff. But I added in the you're a basketball savant because I know that to be true.
Well, I appreciate that. K-Ray is one of the big homies in the sports media here in Phoenix that I actually connected with before I got out here, just in conversations and being in away arenas and things like that. So shout out K-Ray. I really genuinely appreciate that. And shout out Charles as well for the shout out there too. You can be nicer to Eric, and I would much appreciate that. And I would say that. But I could also in the same breath say thank you for your shout out as well. So appreciate you and appreciate all y'all in the chat and all the members. Don't get too down. It's just one loss. They got another opportunity coming up in about 48 hours.
Steven, you get one free pass to the Boom Room because of that as well. So enjoy.
Thank you, I think.
Oh, Steven, we're going to talk to you more in depth tomorrow about this game, about the upcoming stretch and schedule for the Suns. Excited for all three of us to be here in studio with, of course, Freckled Mamba holding it down behind the Mac. Any final thoughts before we let you go out in the afterlife?
Yeah, real quick, and we can talk more on it in tomorrow's show. But the third quarter for the Suns, I know it gets lost in the shuffle because of how loud that fourth quarter was. That ability to respond to adjustments and respond in such a resounding fashion that creates a deficit that most people didn't think would be possible for a team to come back from in just one quarter. That doesn't happen by accident. And I think if you're telling the full story of the game, the meltdown was the meltdown, but you don't get a chance to melt down if you don't put yourself in position to have that big of a lead. So I think that's something we've seen them do in multiple stretches, and it speaks to kind of Jordan not just having that pulse of his team and what buttons to press at which junctures of the game. That part can't get lost in the weeds as we kind of assess things as a whole. So we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but I want to make sure that third quarter doesn't get lost in the shuffle because that was very loud and it was very quick in the fashion that it happened.
In the meantime, before we hear from Steven and all of us tomorrow, you can follow him at no, you're not PHNX_Suns. I mean, you do post from that, but you can follow him at Steven PG3, and that's Steven with a PH as in PHNX. So don't you forget that. Obviously, he'll be out at every home game, practice, shoot around. He was at the Valley Suns game as well. So we appreciate you calling in, Steven, and we'll talk to you very soon.
I appreciate y'all. Talk to y'all tomorrow.
See you, brother.
I got to say, I'm glad my vibes are killing you, Casham. Enjoy them.
Nothing better than that. Love the people, and this is the general use of the term love, who just show up for losses. You haven't been able to be here in a while, have you? Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's round out some things with some super chats here. Thank you all for your patience with super chats. We will always read your super chats. Always. So don't worry if you send them early. We don't get to them. We always will get to them. Starting off with Psycho Blue, $5. Thank you, Psycho Blue. Says, I watched the game and said, quote, it's not over yet when the Suns were up 18 late. Then sure enough, it wasn't over. And then it was. Was like Cardinals Titans. I don't know if it was that bad, man. But it was a brutal fourth quarter for sure. Cardinals Titans was probably like a top 5 loss I've ever seen in sports.
Well, but I mean, the Titans are one of the worst teams in football in recent memory.
That would be like if Dillon Brooks scored on his own basket for the Suns to lose, so the way that the Cardinals lost that game.
And do it against the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
So.
But I do appreciate your super chat, Psycho Blue. It was a pretty brutal loss. Hoosman, $5 super chat. Says, the L stings because the Suns brought us back in. The Hawks had no real threat from deep to be worried about. Royce had his cold night.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Royce was colder than it's going to be here this week.
Is it going to be that cold?
Yeah, it's going to drop into the 50s.
Oh, so. Finally.
And it's going to be raining, which it was not for the Suns tonight.
Oh, my God. I love it when it's cold. Mike from Mesa with a $4.99 super chat. Thanks, Mike. Always consistent in here. Says, starters all negative plus minus. Also, only bench player in the negative. Booker and Brooks cost them the game. Booker passed up Mark to miss a 3.
I agree on that last part, Mike. Like I said earlier, I think that was the momentum shifter completely and where that kind of tipped the scales because would have been up 8 if Mark hit that, if you'd gotten it to Mark for an easy bucket.
Sean says that Psycho Blue explained himself in the Discord and that it was more so the way everything snowballed after the Brooks technical and the way that the Suns lost the game. So, yeah, I agree with that, and I feel like it was even snowballing before that, too. Trevor with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Trevor. Trevor's been around for a long time, dropping super chats for a long time. It is much appreciated. Says, shouldn't have been a loss. Can't afford losing games, being up 20. I'm with Eric on this. The starters need to be better. Book needs to work on his threes.
I agree. Shouldn't have been a loss. And you know, this could be the kind of game where you look back and if you fall one game short, it's the Memphis game. It's the game against Utah that you had opportunities early on and you just didn't capitalize. So I understand that completely. In the big picture, that may wind up being something you look back on and go, well, damn, that was the one.
Sure, and look, we talked about the margins and everything as well with the Suns starting 1-4 and how close the Western Conference is going to be. I know this is just one loss and this is looking ahead, but if the Suns are in play-in or playoff contention at the end of the season, there is a chance that one game could determine whether you're play-in, playoffs, home, away, whatever 100%. It is. So again, we need to get there first. And if we're in that conversation, this has been a successful season for the Suns, but they did drop from 6th to 8th by 1 loss. But again, it's November, so that doesn't really matter.
Jeff says, Espo, though, 20-point leads are nothing anymore. And I agree with that. In today's NBA, 20-point leads disappear in a blink of an eye. So I get that as well, but it could be one that you look at and you go, that could have been the one.
You see, the 20-point lead is the tough part. I think the toughest thing for me to look at from this today is 47 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And like Steven said, 47 points in any fourth quarter, you're probably not winning that game unless you're up 50. So a 47-point fourth quarter is completely unacceptable and not something you see that often. That bothers me more than a 20-0 run because that's more sustained. Mike from Mesa with a $1.99 super chat, always in here as well. Thanks, Mike. Says, playing best defensive players with Book on the bench. The plus minus tells the tale. Bench was awesome.
100%. Bench was what got you the lead, and unfortunately, the starters couldn't hold it.
Which is good news for when there are more starters back and your top-end talent is back, that your bench has proven that they can do this, but 100%. It stings. Again, Royce O'Neal has a little bit more to the left on a three-quarter court shot, and we are having like none of the conversations that we're having right
totally
now.
different.
Totally different.
Game,
yeah. Like the negative part would be like 5 minutes, and then everything else would be all the positive stuff that happened. AZBG602, the birthday boy with a $9.99 super chat. Why are you giving us gifts on your birthday? But we do appreciate it. Says, thank you guys for doing what you do, LFG Suns.
Yes, and feel free to change your avatar if you want.
Thank you for being here. We can't do what we do without you and everybody else who's watching, even the haters.
But we'd be talking from our basements to each other and nobody else.
Yeah, it would be rough. It would definitely be rough. We would not be sitting in these chairs right here. Chris with the $2 super chat. Chris, an OG that also recently got gifted a membership, says, is campaign coming back? There has been a little bit of a stir on Suns Twitter, Espo.
Yes, there has. I have no idea if he is. Part of me wonders, where are the minutes going to come from? Are you going to take it away from Jordan Goodwin? Are you going to, can
I be honest? I don't want him. I don't want him on this team. And that is, this is nothing against campaign, but I am good with a healthy rotation of Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Jalen Green, Colin Gillespie, and Jordan Goodwin. I don't see room for campaign there.
Unless Grayson's more hurt than they want to say?
Well, I think it'd be Jalen would be the guy that's more hurt than they want to say, because they're talking about Grayson day-to-day with the right quad contusion. Jalen's the guy that would be worrisome if they think he'll be out for longer than 4 to 6 weeks, which he totally could be.
But even with Jalen, 6 to 8 weeks. Even with Jalen out, if Grayson's back, you don't need another guard, really.
I just don't need him.
And you can't sign 10 days until December, so it wouldn't be some kind of 10-day come here, help us while somebody's out injured. I don't know. I don't know that would fix anything that you have going on.
I'm just laughing because and this is obviously like, I love Flex is not targeted towards Flex. There are other people who are like, sources are telling me, that are clearly don't have sources out on Twitter. And I find it funny. Breaking, the Phoenix Suns are expected to sign guard Cameron Payne. Sources tell me. Do you want to guess what account that's from?
No.
Book them.
Yeah, well, Good for people that can claim sources and just guess, and if they get right.
There are a lot of people that are just tweeting campaign gifts and stuff. Yeah. I'd honestly hate it. I'd be like, I can't lie to you. I love campaign. I love what he did for us when he was here. I would hate it.
I don't see what it does. I mean, I think it may have been Jeff in the chat that said, why not just give Kobe Bryant a chance at that point? I don't see what it helps you accomplish. I don't see, unless, there's some massive injury concern that we're not aware of. Like, if Grayson's on the shelf for 2-3 weeks, fine. Maybe you go, we'll give you a non-guaranteed. Come on in and let's see. But if that's not the case, I don't see how that helps.
I still didn't feel like we needed another guard today.
No,
that's the thing, right? Where even if Grayson's not healthy, like I still felt like we were fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. So,
I don't know. If it happens, obviously, you know where to go. Here. At PHNX_Suns on Twitter. We'll let you know in that news if it does become official, comes down. Obviously, we'd be doing a breaking news podcast if Campaign does get signed to this team. It is something that I think a lot of people would be confused about. So we would definitely have to see maybe if we get some long-term injury updates. It looks like the Suns, no official word, but likely to have a practice tomorrow. So hopefully we do get maybe a little bit of an update on Grayson Allen, who Jordan Ott said was day-to-day earlier in the day before the Suns game.
It was just swelling from where he
has a big-ass bruise on his quad.
Yeah.
Which
would hurt anybody.
Yeah, I mean, taking a knee to the quad full speed from anybody, but especially a tall dude like Jay Huff, that's going to be tough. AZBG602 with a 199 super chat says, okay, done.
He changed it to the Ohio State mascot smoking in front of a fireplace.
That's for Freckled Mamba right there. Listen, to go from the Arizona Cardinals to Ohio State, I feel like that's the biggest upgrade.
Front runner.
Ohio State might actually beat the Cardinals right now with how they're playing. Look, before Freckled Mamba gets too excited about a Buckeyes conversation here as we wrap up, Espo, any final thoughts on tonight before we are back at it with a 3 p.m. show tomorrow?
Yeah, they didn't have that super snatch attack tonight. And just couldn't get the job done in the fourth.
You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. We'll be talking more about this tomorrow, plus looking ahead at the Suns' gauntlet of a schedule that is coming up. Look, loss sucks. I'm still very excited to watch this team play basketball and for them to face the test that they're going to face over the next month and 10 days until the 26th of December when they have a back-to-back against the Pelicans after Christmas. But before that, it is like 2 games against under 500 teams. Other than that, we're talking about Oklahoma City, Denver, Houston, Lakers, Minnesota, San Antonio. It's about to get real.
You want a chance to be in the mix?
Let's find out.
You want to be a playoff or play-in team? Go beat some big boys. And I think they have the ability to. I need to see them right around 500 in that stretch, and I'll feel really good about where they're going to go. If we come out after Christmas and they're 5-10 games under 500, then we know that something has gone horribly wrong at that point.
Yeah, look, we'll be able to talk about that more in depth tomorrow. In the meantime, for all the latest up-to-date news and notes from the Phoenix Suns, plus some funny stuff here and there, you can follow us at PHNX_Suns. That's on Twitter and on Instagram as well. We appreciate the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac and making all of the magic happen per usual. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba on socials. Of course, you can get Espo on Southwest Bias tomorrow as Hidden Sun Village is excited to watch. A little Cards talk tomorrow. 12 hours-ish.
12 and a half hours I will be back for Southwest.
Little Cards talk?
Little Cards, little Suns. We're going to talk about...
What a cheerful Monday morning.
We're going to talk about some things. I'm going to say this. I think I might be talking about somebody on the Cardinal staff getting fired is what I'm going to guess.
You should be, but we will see. You can follow him at Espo to figure out what's going on with everything in the Arizona sports world. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. And remember, those of you who show up when there's a loss, do you guys lurk when it's a win and just don't comment and are really sad, or do you just pretend like it didn't happen?
Ahoy, hoy, trolls.
We all silly like the mayor.